Hey, math models. This semester we are starting financial math topics. If you haven't been in class, you haven't heard the explanation that we study financial math, to take a break from algebra, right? It'll come back, it's useful, but we're going to take a break from that. We're going to study financial math using basic arithmetic operations, addition, subtraction, multiplication and division, and maybe a little bit of statistics like calculating an average. Okay. And the purpose for doing it in the winter is that maybe you're that 10th or 11th grader or 12th grader who's going to be working this summer for the first time ever. I'm hoping what you get out of the topic over the next month or 6 weeks is something that'll be very useful for you. I've had students return to the classroom 6 months after they get out of class and say that they use something they learned in math class to better their situation in a job or get a good job or as justification for leaving one job to go to another. Excuse me. So it's done in the winter so that you can kind of prepare and think about what you want to do in the summer for a job and then compete against other people your age or older to get that job. That's my goal. And we're going to start this semester by focusing on skills as much as math knowledge. Sure, there'll be math knowledge in it, but we're actually going to go over some math skills, something that can get you a job. And you are looking at one on this screen. Behind my image, behind me, this is a Google Sheet, and it's a spreadsheet program. It's a very powerful tool. This one is blank. This one is blank. Maybe it's a little intimidating, right? So you open this thing up and people do things in here, but all it is these cells. When I click on one of these rectangles, it highlights in blue, and this is just a cell. This cell has an address. It is column D and row 5. This is cell D5. But it's very intimidating to look at this white space and be like, what am I doing here? Okay, so to summarize, the topic for today is spreadsheets. And I am going to expose you to some tools that are useful in spreadsheets. And this can lead to a job. If your family has a business and they need somebody to run the books, keep track of an inventory, keep track of payroll and how they pay people, keep track of how much they pay out in costs for other parts of the business, summarize that at the end of the month. These things are done in spreadsheets. Accountants work in spreadsheets. Scientists work in spreadsheets. Engineers work in spreadsheets. Somebody writing a book might keep track of their time put into writing using a spreadsheet. So I'm going to make my picture go away. Here's a blank spreadsheet. This is cell D5. And now I'm going to bring up a spreadsheet that I have created. Everything you see here, everything that's written, all these boxes, all the text, these are things I have typed into this spreadsheet, and I want to show you how to use this program. I admit I am ignorant of whether you have experience with this program. I'll be asking the students in class, but for you virtual students, I don't know how much exposure you've had to using a spreadsheet. It's my hope that you learned something today. Okay, the one you're going to get will be blank here at the top where it says my name. So I'm going to show you a little bit about how to use this guy from top to bottom. If I want to make a change to a cell, this is F, column F, row 1, cell F1. There's text here. Well, this is all put in here by a human being, in this case me. And if I don't like that one, I can delete it. You can either double click on a cell to get a cursor and write text, or you can use this bar, which I'm sure on your screen is hard to read, up here at the top. This bar is where you can type. Today, I'm going to type directly in the cell because it's easier for you to see. The blank one you have probably just says name, and this is where you would type your name. So I am going to type it again, Mr. Mitchell. And over here in I1, it says period. Actually, I'm going to even make it say the whole word, period. You may say 3, or delete that. Maybe you're in second period. I'm going to say all, because I am a student in all periods. Okay, so there's how to address a cell. This is F1, and how to change text. I can double click, I can highlight, I can delete, I can write new text. Well, let me read this to you. Spreadsheet is an electronic document in which data is arranged in the rows and columns of a grid and can be manipulated and used in calculations. In a spreadsheet, you click on a specific cell to see what formulas, math operations, or type numbers exist in the cell. Below, we will fill in the light gray cells with the appropriate operation. See rows 24 through 30 for examples of how these work. Okay, rows 24 through 30. All right, so I scroll down. Okay, 24 through 30 includes some functions for the spreadsheet. So I'm down in these rows, which I highlighted by dragging my mouse on this number 24, and I just highlight it. I'm talking about rows 24 through 30. There's a lot of information I'll ask you to get used to, but once you get the hang of what we're doing, this assignment will not take long. This will also serve as notes for you, but you're going to add your own touch to it. Okay, so I just recopied these row and column headings. These are my columns and my rows so that we could see them in gray and see if they pop out real nice. The address here, well, let's go to number 1. This cell here, this cell, okay, this cell is column G, row 11. This cell is column G, row 11. I just typed that text in there. I went here. This cell is G11. You go ahead and type this in, your answer for number 1. This cell is column G, row 11. That's its name if we were going to refer to it. Number 2, this cell is column I and row 12. So I'm typing I12. That is cell I12. Isn't that weird? That's how you refer to a cell in a spreadsheet. Okay. Now we're going to actually use the spreadsheet to do math for us. I'm clicking on the cell C17. I'm here, and I am going to get the spreadsheet to do some work for me. I want to get a sum, which is adding up a bunch of numbers. I am going to sum these numbers. Just watch what happens here. I double click on the cell. I see I have a blinking cursor. Equals. I type the word sum. And the spreadsheet knows I am trying to do something. It gives me a list. I want this function. Sum, it's going to do the job for me now. This is like using a computer programming language. Sum, open parentheses, and now I'm going to use my mouse to drag a box across all these numbers. And it says from cell C10, colon, which means here's a series of cells, to C16. I type close parentheses, and I have given the spreadsheet instructions to add up all these numbers for me. When I hit enter, it says 42, which I've checked is the sum of all these numbers. Are we getting a hang of how this thing can work? The spreadsheet just did math for me. If I needed to add up a bunch of numbers, like how much money I had in the bank or how much money I make per week in a job, a spreadsheet can do that for me. Let's look at another function. I'm going to click on the cell E17. I double click to get a blinking cursor. All functions start with an equal sign. I'm going to type the word average, AVER, and look what's happening. It's offering me options up here, AGE. Here it is, average. The spreadsheet will now calculate an average for these numbers. With the open parentheses, I need to highlight these cells from E10 to E16, and now I will close the parentheses, and I press return. It gave me 48.6. That is the average of these numbers. Isn't that cool? You could take all your grades in a class and calculate your own average without ever touching a calculator or adding them all up on paper. If I need to be real precise about this number, there are many functions up here that we are not going to cover. But I could, for example, say, well, I want more decimals, increase decimal places. Here I go. I'm just clicking on this button up here. That's pretty specific. 48.5714286. I think for the sake of an average here, I just need one number to the right of the decimal. The average of these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 numbers is 48.6. We're almost halfway there. This is number 1, number 2, number 3, and number 4. Let's go to number 5. I scroll down a little bit. The function max will search this series of numbers when we tell it to go here, and it's going to return the highest number in the series. I double click to get a blinking cursor. Equal sign is how we wake up that we're going to wake up the program to we're going to use one of its functions, and I say MAX, max, maximum value in a numeric data set. I click on that, it gives me an open parentheses. I'm going to highlight these numbers from B20 to E20. Close parentheses. This one we know is correct because we're looking at 18, 45, 98, and 23. And 98 is indeed the highest number in this series. So what's the lowest number? Shout it out if you're in the classroom. Shout it out. Which number is lowest? You're right. 18. I'm going to use the minimum function. Min, it's called. I double click for a cursor. Equals min, minimum value in a data set. I click on it. I choose my range of cells, close parentheses, and it's correct. Minimum is 18. Now we're on number 6. We're only going to number 11. Let's show you some basic math. You'll find instructions here that tell you kind of how these functions are working. We just did minimum finds the lowest value in a range of cells. For example, if we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1 is the lowest number. The function, the spreadsheet, has returned the math work for us. Basic math. You can also perform functions like addition, subtraction, multiplication directly in a cell without calling a formula. It would look like this. You type equals 18 minus 41 equals, and when you hit return, see, it's going to give you negative 23. This that I typed in cell C30 is meant to show you what it looks like, because once you type it in, it actually does the calculation. So I'm going to show you what's in cell C31. Hard to see up here in the corner, but this says equals 18 minus 41. Equals at the beginning of it tells this spreadsheet to do something. And here it is a little bit bigger. I typed equals 18 subtract 41, hit return or enter, and it tells me that's negative 23, which is correct. Moving to cell D30, this is what I typed in just below. Equals 3 times 6, that's 18. I bet you know that one. For division, here in cell E30 is the text that says equals 12 /4. This is the division symbol in Google Sheets. 12 divided by 4 is equal to 3. If I double click on the cell E31, it says equals 12 divided by 4. Press enter. It does the math for me. Okay. For 8, 9, 10, and 11, you are going to make up 4 equations on your own. They will lead with an equal sign. And I'm going to say 57 times 23. That is 1,311. If I double click, it's going to show me what I typed in there. 57 times 23, enter, 1,311. Okay, I'm going to try one more here. I'm going to say 675. Oh, excuse me, I need an equal sign. Equals 675 divided by 14. Oh, that comes to a decimal answer, a busy one at that. I'm going to click up here. I'm going to reduce the decimals here. 48.2. Double click on it. 675 divided by 14. Enter. The answer is 48.2. Maybe one more. Some sort of math I would never want to do. Let's see. I owe $25,476 on a car payment, on a car I've taken a loan out on, and I'm going to subtract my monthly payment of $334. Oh, I forgot to put the equals at the beginning. Equals 25,476 minus my monthly car payment of $334. And uh-oh, what did I do? No comma, perhaps. That worked. We don't want a comma in there. 25,476 minus 334. Enter. I owe 25,142 on my car. So that would be what I owed, and I'm making these numbers up. Owe 25,476 on the car. Subtract 334 as a payment. Press enter. It does the subtraction for me. Number 11, you will enter yourself. These can be any number that you want. Take your time, figure something out, try a piece of math you would never do in your head, and make the spreadsheet do the math for you. For basic math examples down here at the bottom, this is what the text looks like that gets typed in cell C30, and this is actually the formula in use in C31. The assignment here in your Google Classroom, you have an individual copy of this. I want you to do it just like I did. Add your name up here in F1, add your period, tell me what cell number 1 is, number 2 is, calculate a sum in cell C17, calculate an average in E17. I forgot one. Look at that. We did 5 and 6. We forgot 7. Good thing I was reviewing that. We caught it. The count function, what's it say about count? Counts the values in a range of cells. Example, 1 blank 3 4 5. That is 4 total cells with values. Let's see what that looks like. Here is my range of cells that I'm going to use for count. 4 have a value in them and 1 is blank. I double click. Equals OUNT count. Oh, okay. It gave me a little question mark. I clicked on it. Returns the number of numeric values in a data set. Count. I am going to highlight these 3 by dragging the box. You can press the control button. I have the control button held down. I want this cell also and this cell. Close the parentheses, count G14 to G16, H15, and H16. Enter. It tells me that of this range of cells, G14, 15, and 16, plus H15 and H16, it counted up the cells that have a value in them, and the truth is 4 out of 5 have a value. Okay, we did the count. We found the maximum number. And number 5, we found the maximum number in a data series. That was calculated in cell F20. We found the minimum number in G20. And then we did some basic math down here. And you come up with whatever you want to do to show how math works. That's where I am on demonstrating a spreadsheet. And we will have some other opportunities to work on this in following classes. Thank you for your patience. See if you can make yours look like mine, and then submit it to me through the Google Classroom so I can have a look. Thanks for your attention. Talk to you next time.